Hello, I'm Erin Halvorsen with Rag Rugs by Erin, and today we're going to be making a video that's going to be talking about keeping the elliptical part of your arch of your oval or even your circle rag rug, anything that you have an arch on. And I have another video how to keep a rag rug flat and smooth, and it goes into a lot of other details as well. But I decided that we needed some more close-ups and more interaction with that, and I'm also going to point out using stitch markers if you need that or decide to use that. It's something I now show in my classes when you actually attend one of my classes. So it's not going to be exactly that, but we're going to try to give a little bit more detail. This is something that some of you struggle with, and it's hard for me because I want to be there to help you, and you send me pictures and whatnot. It's very time consuming for me, and though I want to help you, maybe if you saw a video it might be more clear than just trying to do it through email and words. So most of you, if you're watching on YouTube, are visual learners, so I'm going to try to help you with that. So also, I used to show you very often in my earlier videos rugs that I had been working on or what's coming up next, and I haven't been doing that because product development takes up so much of my time. I'm teaching so much more. Also, my whole line of hooks that we have here, and I'm now making them as well. Lila was only one making them, and now it's requiring both of us to make them, so I'm learning a new tool, and that's exciting for me too as well. So you can buy those on my website, and we can talk about that at another time. But so this is one, and this is what I'm going to try to be teaching. I'm hoping I can be successful in teaching with this, and it's showing that you can leave some spaces in between, give it more of a doily effect. I'm going to make something along this lines to show you, and then this one has bigger spots in between, and you can just adapt and do something like this as well. I don't know that I'll be doing a video, but I will discuss this when I'm making the video for this one. So I try to simplify and make it understandable for you, and it's a trick. It's a continual trick for me to get it in the correct stages, give you enough information without talking too much. So anyways, let's go ahead and get right into how to add the stitches and gauging on those. So I've been working on this one, and it's going to be part of the video that I'm going to be showing. I've been doing a little bit more neutral colors here than I used to. I used to do a lot of wild colors, and I still love the wild colors, but there's also a need in some people's homes for more neutral colors. And we've got quite honest, at the beginning, the neutral kind of colors I thought that's not going to look very nice. They look gorgeous, as you could see in those other two, and you can see in this, they're beautiful as well. It's just a completely different look, so I had to kind of get myself used to it. Also, I'm not loving this kind of sheet yarn. It's not very attractive in my opinion, but you can see how gorgeous it is when you do it in a rug, and you've got these little tones of different colors, so which can make it go with a lot of different rooms. So let's talk about adding and keeping it from cupping up, keeping your rug from cupping up. That means you're not adding enough stitches as you go around. What I mean by not adding enough stitches, that means adding an extra single crochet into the same hole, okay? Because you've got this elliptical part right here, and you can't just continue to put the same amount of stitches, or it's going to tighten and tighten and tighten. And as you see in my video that shows how to make a basket, that you're trying to get it to come up. So you aren't adding any extras, and that would give you that effect by not adding extra stitches. However, in something like this, you want it to lay flat, so you need to be adding extra single crochets. Now, some of you get very excited about adding extra crochets, stitches in the same hole, and then we've got this crazy thing going on that's really wavy. And let me try to put this in your mind, kind of think about what I'm saying, is that when you add extra stitches to something and you're adding too many, basically you start to crowd it. You're crowding the area, and what happens, and it starts getting wavy, and it starts becoming irregular. It's like when you have too many teeth or don't have enough area in your mouth, and you have too many teeth, they've got to go somewhere, so they become crooked and misaligned. And that's kind of the same scenario that happens when you're adding too many stitches. It starts to get kind of wobbly. So we want to talk about that, and I'm also going to show you where to go into the stitch or where to go into the correct hole. I also find occasionally when someone comes back and takes another class or something that they're not finding the hole, or some of you aren't finding the hole that you're looking for to get into, and that makes a different look. As long as you're consistent, that's okay, but I want to show you what exactly I'm talking about so you can do that. And then we're also going to talk about stitch markers and using stitch markers if you think it's necessary. Many of you may not use stitch markers and not feel it's necessary, and most of the time I don't either, but as my rug gets bigger sometimes, or I'm really trying to make it just perfect, which is a fallacy. It's a rag rug, and I tell people in my class, remember, it's a rag rug, they're not perfect. So anyways, I have these on my website. I'm not necessarily advocating that you need to get these. You can buy stitch markers lots of places. They're very inexpensive. But I have changed from using just safety pins because, and that's a fine way to do it. It's very cheap and economical. But as my rugs have gotten bigger, as I've told in my classes, I've had these safety pins, and now the rug is sitting underneath my leg, and I have had that thing pop open underneath my leg, a safety pin. It has never I've never been stuck by one, but I could think, oh no, this is not going to be good. So I decided that I needed to find some other stitch markers. I came up with these and found these, and now I sell them. So find them any place you want. Come to my website, whatever works for you. But if you want stitch markers, get some little plastic ones as opposed to metal ones. And they also have bigger ones some places, and by all means use that. But I'm just trying to give you a little bit more information on ways. Instead of just teaching you how to make rugs, when you come to a class of mine, there's so many things that I include that are not part of my videos that I learned along the way, little tricks. And so I'm trying to do more of that to help people so it's easier for you. So if I'm long-winded, bear with me, but if this is something you struggle with, follow along and I'll be happy to share it with you. Okay, so Mr. Cameraman, Lyle, my husband, now I call him Lyle, my husband. Most of you know him as Cameraman. So when you're looking at this rug, I kind of like on this side, you kind of go in different stages. You make it more, pointed or more severe, the arch. I've been liking this shorter, fatter, squatter circles, ovals lately. So that means that I need to add more stitches on the outside and make sure that it's fuller. And so I really like the way this edge is, and I'm not liking the way this edge is as well, this end. So I went ahead and kind of wanted you to see that and how I came across that. Now because this end is fuller, I kind of looked across the way and thought, okay, I need to make sure that I'm adding some near the end on the edges. Okay, but you never want to add on the straightaway. Some people aren't sure what the straightaway is. This part, the long part, this is the straightaway. The sides here, these are the straightaways, okay? These are the arches, these are the curves, and so you never want to add any extra stitches on the straightaway. But as you get to the arch and you get into the arch, that's when you can add your extra single crochets in the same hole. This is a guide. These are not the gospel. That's the unfortunate thing about what I teach you. You kind of have to learn as you go, and this is a guide. I'm thinking I need to add a stitch maybe around here and maybe one over here. I may add more stitches along here. I'm not saying that's the only place, and I may add a stitch here or here based upon when I'm going along where I think it needs to go. I'm going to go ahead and crochet this, and we'll talk about it as we go. And that's what I do when you come to a class. I will sit with you one-on-one if you struggle with this and spend a couple minutes and discussing what it is you think needs to happen. So we're going to go ahead and try to talk through this and see if it helps you if you're struggling with this. So we're just going to be going along doing our single crochet. See how these are the holes. This is what I'm talking about. See, there's the hole. Some of you want to go back in here, and that's fine. You can do that. Some people call it the back bar, so the back stitch. You can go in there, only there. You can only go here. I've seen people only go there. Okay, you can do that too. But most of my rugs, unless I tell you different, go right through here where you have two of these, which makes it more secure above. Okay, above the hole that you're going into. Now my circle video, I do go in the back bar, and I like that, particularly in that I seem to can do it, make it lay flatter that way. But I have done it that way too, go into the center of the stitch. So we're going to go into the center of the stitch, and we're going to be doing I'm using 2-inch sheet yarn for this, and this is a 16. It's one of the ones that I make, and it's, you'll see it's got a longer handle. Also, I've also seen some 16s people have brought to classes, and they got this little teeny head here, and it's not a 16. Here it's a 16, but there it's not. I'm not sure what manufacturer's doing that and why they're doing it, but that is not a true 16. It's got a really small head. Also, some of them now got a little holding spot right here to hold your, you know, plastic hook there, but I use this throat area, so that kind of causes a problem too for me. If it's not causing a problem for you, that's fine, but this is why my hooks work well for me, and I have designed them, and I have people that have ordered 5 or 6 times for me, which is so exciting for me that they come back and continue to order. But we really work on trying to find something that works well for you. Okay, so here we're going to just go along here, and you see I'm getting close to my stitch marker now. See, I'm going to pull this out. If you're looking at this, my next stitch is going to have to go all the way over here. That seems like a long pull to me, okay, if I was to pull it this way. So here's where it's pointing naturally with me not pulling, and here's where the next one would go. That seems like a fairly long distance. So I'm going to go ahead and make my second stitch right there in that same hole. So this was a guide. I didn't put it there. Now remember, some of you said, I wouldn't have done that. Well, that's fine. You could probably done it in the next one and be just fine. But I'm just trying to give you a guide. Okay? See, now look at that, where that is. It's right along there. It's much closer. And we don't want to be pulling it too much, because I already feel like that end is starting to cup just a little bit. I want to tell you, see? It's not lifting like this or like that, but it's not laying perfectly flat. Now I hear people say, oh yeah, I steamed it, I put books on it, I did all kinds of stuff. If you have to force it too much, that concerns me that it's going to be a problem later on. Okay, so let's go ahead, and there's 2 in that hole, and I'm going to do some single crochets and see if I think I need to add another one. So here we go. See, it's still lining up good. Going to go in and do another single crochet in the next hole. See, it's lining up quite well. Okay, and some of you say, why do you pull it off with your fingers? I get this sometimes. Because it's easier for me. I'm not a professional crocheter, so it's just easier because I crochet very tight. So you don't need to, and some of you that crochet and are a little bit looser, you can slip it off, and by all means do that. It's not an advantage, it just works well for me. So you can do it anyway, but you see how much I use this throat? This helps regulate. If you're keeping your hook only like right here that you're using all the time, I will watch people in a class and they'll do it, and it gets tighter and tighter and tighter because this is smaller here, and particularly if they're using a different kind of hook, and then they get frustrated when they come around the next time because that hole is so small. Okay, so we're still, see, it's lining up. It's not really quite too far, it's close enough. I'm still just doing single crochets without adding extra other than that first one that you saw. Now I have over 90 videos at this moment, so there's lots of videos that show how to make an oval rug and whatnot. There's rectangles, squares, so you can see those. Okay, so we're getting up there. Now let me evaluate that. I know I needed to, okay. Actually, I'm gonna go in there and then I'm gonna decide if I'm gonna add another stitch, because it still looks pretty nice to me. I'm not overextending it. But I know before I get off this arch, in order to keep it balanced, I need to put another stitch somewhere. And I'm trying to get, it still seems okay to me, but I'm gonna go ahead and this one, add an extra single crochet, because I'm trying to get a fuller look, and it already is. I'm trying to get a fuller look on this end. Okay, so I did 2 single crochets in that stitch. Okay, so let's talk about 2 more things here. One more thing is, see, now that looks better. It's getting more full, like what I was trying to achieve. That doesn't mean that's how your rug has to look like, but that's what I was trying to achieve. That's what I like the look of. Okay, sometimes when I'm doing that, I will look and sometimes I will come to the other end. I don't really feel the need on this one, but I had a problem where I added it at the beginning and didn't add at the end. And so then I'd kind of get full on the end and I'd get flat on the outside. So if I added a stitch, sometimes I would go across and say, okay, if I added a stitch right here, if I added a stitch right here, I don't know where we're going to add a stitch, but if I added one right here, I might go, oh, right across here would be over here. If it's already looking good, I want to try to maintain it. So I might put a stitch marker as I get over there in over here. Okay, so I'd open this up and I put a stitch marker in here to remind myself. And if your rug is getting really big, you need that even more and more. Now some of you might have busy little brains and you just got that all figured out all the time. But I'm very often doing multiple things at the same time. I'm crocheting, I'm watching TV, I'm answering emails, I'm doing all kinds of stuff. And I can't remember, say, hey Mom, what are you going to do about this? Okay, well I get up and I have no idea what I did over there. It might be 2 days before I get back to it. So I will go ahead and put a stitch marker in if that's the case sometimes, especially if I'm not home by myself and I'm not just doing this. I think a lot of you think I make rag rugs all day. I don't. I have a very busy life and run another business besides. So, I don't always get to just focus on this. And so you may have those similar lives, many of you. And so you might want to go ahead and use a stitch marker to help keep the balance for you. Okay, I know this can be very addicting, and this is addicting to me too. As you can see, it's turned into what it's turned into. So anyways, I hope this clarifies for you just a little bit better, and then if you get confused or need help, I can refer this video to you. So subscribe if you liked it or put a likes on it, and I hope you come back and view more videos. Thank you.